Well, g'day, groovers. And hello, Shanna. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, you're sounding all Friday night relaxed.
Yeah,
I'm good.
chilling.
I'm going to put my cam on. Oh, that's a bit too close. We'll do the long shot. That's better. That's better. G'day, everyone. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Tori, and I have a very special guest with me today, Shanna. Just going to say
Hello.
g'day to lovely Francesca and to Crystal Dawn in chat. And thank you to Aussie, hello Aussie Flag. Thank you too to Iva Problem, who just did a little promo video letting people know we were live too. She's warned
Aw.
us. She said, stand by for whoever may chase me in here.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So it's a bit of a weird time for me. It's 1:30 in the, well, it's not a weird time, but it's 1:30 in the afternoon here in Tasmania. And a lovely, 8:30?
8:30.
Lovely. On a Friday night. Perfect. So Shanna and I thought we'd do something no channel on YouTube has ever done and discuss a case that not many people have heard about. It's the case of a family annihilator who murdered his beautiful wife, Shanann, who was 15 weeks pregnant, and their two daughters, Bella and CeCe. But, yeah, it's a bit of a rarely discussed case on YouTube. We thought so many true crime buffs go live and talk about all these other crimes, but this is one that very few people have ever discovered or discussed. G'day, Iva. Thanks for for your video. Hi, lovely Scout. Beautiful Sunny is asleep on my bed at the moment. She seems to spend the entire day there now, apart from popping out every now and then in the off chance I've got food. But she may make an appearance later as well. But we might just kick off before we go into the whole point of this live is just by way of background. Shanna and I met in 2018 because of the Watts case, and we were heavily involved in it for quite a long time, and then I sort of moved on a bit from it. I've kind of still tuned into the occasional YouTube to see what people are saying, but Shanna, we were chatting last night or this morning or something, and you've kind of still kept your finger on the Watts.
Yeah, I think my viewing kind of went from listening to people like speculating and just kind of the rumor stuff to just watching channels that kind of really dug into the discovery and the sequencing and the weirdness. But I'll be real, like I kind of put it down in early 2019 and really didn't pay attention much to it. And then, my job kind of switched to me being on the road a lot. So I started listening to podcasts. And so I kind of stayed away from like the YouTube chriswatts following and went into more of like just podcasts, people discussing it. That way, you aren't distracted by chat. You're listening. And I don't know about you, but when you're listening to like an audiobook I just feel like you can absorb the information a lot more when you're not, watching something and you're just listening.
I agree. And I think too with podcasts, and some people refer to YouTube channels as podcasts, but we're talking like the actual podcasts on platforms that you listen to. A lot of the true crime podcasts are far more investigative and involved than a lot of the creators. There's a lot of YouTube creators that go live and talk about it, but you can tell they're really not delving and interviewing people and finding other things out. So you do, I think, get a much higher standard of information. And you're right, you don't have all the crap that's going on in chat as well with people getting and blocked and timed out and the creators getting distracted by that and all of that sort of stuff. Hi, and welcome to everybody coming in. Good to see you, Lady Pegasus, as well. Lady Pegasus has now got a functioning laptop, so she's back in action, which is very exciting. But Shanna's I've got to give you some credit, Shanna. When Shanna and I originally met, we were moderating for a channel that covered the Watts case a lot, and Shanna was always the one out of the group that I don't want to call you psychic, but she has this sixth sense, and things like the girls still being alive when they left the house. That was something Shanna said very early on. I was thinking about going back through our mod chats from 2018 and 19 to see when it was when you first said that, but it was a really long time ago. But there were a lot of other things that happened along the way that you kind of predicted or you had a feeling about. And then the other day, Shanna and I had a phone conversation, which was absolutely lovely, and she told me this theory of hers, and it's like all these channels that we've watched, all the podcasts you've listened to, there was some missing pieces, and it was almost like you've had an epiphany, and we just thought we'd put your theory out there and everyone can have a little bit of a chat and ask questions and stuff. But I might let you kick off, Shanna, because I know you've got a bit of a background that you want to talk about first.
Yes, I do. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there, just because I feel like it's respectful to Shanann's family to say this. I have never, ever, and probably will never believe that Shanann ever laid a finger on her kids, ever. That conspiracy just never felt right. It never looked right. All I saw with Shanann was a woman who was fighting very hard to keep her family together and loved her babies and wanted to protect her babies. And I just want to put that out there that, you know, what I'm about to go into, you know, if you're here because you're wanting that theory or you're wanting that to be said, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never entertain that on my channel either. It's pretty common knowledge that we've lost Shanna. Hopefully she'll come back. It's very common knowledge around my channel that I always believed 100% Chris Watts was involved. I do think there's more to the story. Welcome back, Shanna.
It's funny. I sneak. And I went sneezed.
And you prematurely evacuated.
But I just want to say that, Tori, and I know you and I are in the same camp with that.
Yeah, and I was just clarifying that, you know, that's always been my position. In fact, my position of being such a staunch he did it person back in 2018 and 19 led to me being kicked out of a mod group, a Facebook group, a pretty big one at the time. But I've, like many people out there, I think that the whole Nicole Kessinger side of it has just never been fully addressed, and there was a lot of stuff even way back when that was dodgy, and I do think there's more to that story, but I haven't really lost any sleep about it or tried to solve it, whereas Shanna
thank you
has yes. And so we're going to listen to Shanna's she's going to provide a bit of a background and a big disclaimer again, we're not haters here, so if anyone's coming here for that, you might want to move on to another channel because that's not our jam at all.
Yeah, and also to Tori's point, like, we're not super highly vocal. Tori's channel has never been a Watts channel. We try to be very respectful to the Rzuceks, and I just want them to know, just on the off chance that they come across this video, that our hearts go out to them. And
absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
And wait before you kick off, and I just want to say, Sandy Rzucek, if you do make it to this video, I fall asleep listening to your cooking video.
The cooking videos. I've made her her cabbage. It was awesome.
You've made it.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
So anyway,
let's go.
All right. And another disclaimer, I'm not a Netflix newbie. As Tori said, we have been following this since it happened in 2018. Like I said, I mostly left it behind in 2019 after the Wisconsin confession. But something always kept nagging at me. Like, it's almost like you can't let something go until you feel like everyone responsible is held accountable. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, here we go. And I will say this is, this is just my opinion. Okay. This is not fact. It's my opinion. what is it, allegedly? So
Allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only.
yes, there you go. So
Quoting the fabulous Aphrodite.
all right, here we go. So as we know, NK started working with Anadarko under a contract in the fall of 2017. I believe that for whatever reason, Chris caught her eye and they did casually flirt and chatted at work. Right around the time she started Googling Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, like there's no other explanation, in my opinion, other than the fact that she saw this dude at work. She was in safety. I think she, in some weird way, found Shanann's Facebook and started becoming somewhat infatuated with their relationship and almost wanted to be Shanann, like have that stability, have that marriage, have the family. I think she envied that and wanted that, honestly. And I believe it became like an obsession for her in a weird way. So she worked in safety. Chris was a field operator, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that they had several interactions, especially, well, there's two things on this. Because she worked safety and because he was a field operator, there was probably a lot of safety meetings after the big explosions started happening around Colorado, and they were trying to be more proactive to prevent those things from happening. I just see them interacting a lot. And I don't think it was serious, obviously. I think it was just a work thing. They flirted at work. I don't think that it became serious until Shanann went to North Carolina. That's just my personal opinion. I do believe there was a Freudian slip in this area during her interview with the police, the one that her father attended with her, where she says, and I quote, "He lost something like 13 pounds after we first started hanging out. And I mean, I know when a guy first starts losing weight and exercising and eating healthier, the weight can just come off like that at first." Okay. So how long has Chris Watts been trying to lose weight? Like over like a year, right? Like it was going on for a while, like several months. More
Yeah,
than
we need to find out when Shanann was full on thriving, when he started wearing the patches as well. Yeah.
Because I think that it was right around the time they first met at work that he really kicked it into gear with the patches and started eating healthier.
So this is back in 2017.
Yeah, in the fall, like in the, September, October range, and I think that he dropped weight super quick at first, and she slipped up and said that because, losing 13 pounds in 3 weeks, like, I'm sorry, but not buying it.
I'm just going to do a weight conversion because there's a few people in here that are in the metric world.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's cool. So I'm just so everyone knows in terms of kilos, because if she's sort of claiming that happened in the short time so it's nearly 6 kilos, which you could lose a kilo a week, but you'd be more likely to lose if you suddenly went on this fitness campaign. You'd probably lose a couple of kilos in the first week, which would be fluid, and then go down to like maybe 500 grams, half a kilo a week after that. I mean, he could have done it in the 6 weeks they claim they know each other, but
I just don't buy it. I think that her slip was saying when he first started trying to lose weight, he dropped like 13 pounds in the beginning. Like, how would she know that? Like, I mean, if she wasn't a part of his life back then, is my point. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So also, and I know this has been mentioned before, who Googles wedding dresses for 5 hours after sleeping with someone for less than a month, right?
Yeah, I always thought that was pretty sort of single white female creepy-ish if she had only just met him. Yeah.
So, I will clarify, like, I don't think there was an intense affair that went on for several months, but I do believe they'd been overly friendly and flirtatious at work. And things didn't really escalate until Shanann went to North Carolina. Now I'm going to kind of talk about more of like the motive and what happened. A very important piece to this whole puzzle is what I think was the primary motive. I think the primary motive was financial, and NK was simply the accelerant and like the drug to get it done. And quite frankly, could have been a little bit of the brains behind some of the operation, because I just don't think that Chris is smart, like when it comes to planning things. And I mean, we're talking about someone who showed up looking like a bum, like on the first date, and like just doesn't quite, I don't think he has social awareness. I mean, you can kind of tell from the videos that were out there that he was kind of awkward. Like, who chews gum when they're at the altar kissing their wife on their wedding day? That always bothered me.
Me too. And I don't know if you were with me on this channel, but I mentioned that like one day on one of my lives, it absolutely grossed me out that he was chewing gum. Then they did the big passionate smooch. And then when they were walking out of the reception place, he was just chewing his gum. And I was like, that is disgusting.
Also, you mean to tell me that a guy that says, oh, does the pink lines mean we're going to have girls, is going to plan all of this? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe, allegedly, my opinion, that the plan was to get rid of Shanann and stage an accidental blow up at the site. I do not believe the girls being murdered was ever part of the original plan. I don't think NK was on board with that. I don't think Chris was on board with something like that, regardless of what he claims in Wisconsin. And I'll tell you why I think he said that in Wisconsin. I don't think that was ever. I think that was like, oh shit, we have witnesses. And I think that was the major ultimate whammy at the end. But there's other whammies and other wrenches, monkey wrenches that I think happened that catapulted all of this brutal, horrid, all of this disgusting things and happening. But I don't believe, I just want to put that out there, I never believed the girls, because look, they were searching for apartments for him with an extra bedroom for the girls. I really don't even think that the plan was to kill Shanann, honestly, until towards like the very end. And I'll tell you what I think happened with that.
Sure.
Okay. So I believe that Chris was headed towards some psychological breaking point, mania, because he was sleeping very little and he was hyped up on Thrive and whatever else he could have been taken. I don't know. Do we even know that blood work was taken from him? Like when he was booked, like, did they do a blood test on him to see if there was anything in his system? Do we know that? Just curious.
I don't think there's ever been anything put out in Discovery, but we know that a lot of the Discovery wasn't released to the public.
No, we totally know that. And all of this could be completely wrong. Like, I'm not one of those arrogant people saying, okay, this is what I think happened and I know this is what happened and everything else is not true. This is kind of what I've come up with after almost 3 years of just here and there kind of listening. Thinking about things.
Yeah, so it's food for thought. So,
it's no secret that the Watts were financially stressed and headed towards even greater debt, with the girls starting back at private school, a baby on the way, and a homeowners association case against them. It was smart. Yes. And it was smart that, I will say this, it was smart that they had planned to sell their home initially and downsize, because they did build like quite a bit of equity in that home in just those few years that they were there, and they could pay off a good portion of that debt. But even like at my worst mathematical calculations, they would have still been in the hole. But with the right budget and discipline, and with Shanann's personality of like, hey, this is what we're going to do, vision boards, like I think they could have made it in a year or two. I think they could have been in a good spot, gotten themselves out of this situation, and been where I think they were close. I think it would have been maybe a year or two and they would have been okay.
Well, just on that, just to let me interrupt for a second, since we're talking about finances, there was a woman on Critical K's show a few months ago, Kathleen, who I think has to be the funniest American on the planet. She is a hoot.
Awesome.
Her sarcasm is like top shelf. But she's writing a book about their financial situation. And I know that when she was on the panel, there were a lot of people in the chat that weren't really paying that much attention or seemed that interested. But she was talking about the forensics of money and finances and how you can learn so much about a crime from investigating the finances. And she's actually putting a book out about that. And she's clearly coming from the finance was a motive angle as well.
Yeah.
Is it Kathleen Houston?
Houston. So one thing on that is Anna Darko at the time was going through a lot of legal trouble. And the most recent happened in Firestone, Colorado in 2017. So a year before, when Anna Darko was found to be at fault for a house explosion, killing several family members of a family. And it was due to a flow line leak that connected to an Anadarko well about 170 feet from the house. And it was a multi-million-dollar settlement that was awarded to the family in, brace yourself, May of 2018, less than 3 months before the murders and shortly before things got hot and heavy with NK. Just putting that out there. So,
keep firing those things out there.
So I think the timeline escalated into a faster pace when Shanann started suspecting he had a mistress. They were going to sell the house originally, and according to Colorado law, although it is a no-fault divorce state, meaning in America that, it doesn't matter if you cheat on your spouse, like that's really not taken into the equation. It clearly has an amendment in the state of Colorado stating something to the effect that if a spouse commits adultery, property divisions are unequally dispersed in favor of spouse who did not have a side piece, essentially. Also, if you can prove, and this is in Colorado divorce law, if you can prove neglect or abandonment occurred towards the children at any time during the marriage due to the affair, such as lying to everyone about hiring a babysitter to go to a Rockies game when you're actually taking your mistress out on a date, then Chris would have had to also pay child support for 3 kids and probably would have had not a whole lot of access to them. So just something else to keep into the equation.
Yep.
So with that being said, in my opinion, here is what probably could have allegedly happened the night/early morning of the murders based a lot of on the evidence and discovery. So I now believe the 111-minute phone call with NK that NK placed from her home to Chris Watts was most likely a final rundown of, okay, dumbass, this is what we're going to say to investigators. This is what what we're going to be questioned after all of this happens. This is our plan. This is what we're going to say. Let's repeat after me. Are we on the same page? That sort of thing. That's kind of what after thinking about it, that's kind of what I think that conversation was. So why else would she say to the investigators, oh, I don't really remember what we talked about? Well, no shit, Sherlock.
No, that always bothered me because she was so honed in on the most trivial details about their macros and all that sort of stuff. But couldn't remember a thing about
not a single thing.
Phone call the night of the murders, essentially, or earlier on in the night, that was a definite standout.
And I think it was because, I think it was because she knew that they were going to ask Chris the same question and they didn't rehearse this, this scenario. Oh my God. Well, we didn't, the 111 phone call, they're going to see that. What did we really talk about? They never rehearsed any of that part.
But she, something that really bugs me with the Nicole Kessinger interviews and always did was they weren't interrogations. Like she'd be asked a question and she'd answer it and then they'd just move on to the next thing.
Yeah. So there's another
interrogated at all. They didn't make her break, you know.
So they were pressed for time, as we know, because Shanann's plane was unexpectedly delayed due to a dust storm in Phoenix. And they were also probably having the, oh shit, will we have enough time to even pull this off discussion? Let's really think about this conversation as well. All right, next. I think it's highly probable that NK hitched a ride with Leave Jim Alone and hid downstairs in the basement. Just my theory, just putting it out there. Again, I do not believe
Leave Jim alone.
Yes. So
yes. Sorry to interrupt, because I just we're getting to the juicy bits, and there are things that I just want to add to. But that was another thing, again, like her not actually being interrogated. The fact that she just said, "Leave Jim alone, leave Jim out of this," and the cops did. What the fuck?
Well, I don't think they did. Like, there's still a part of me that thinks there is an ongoing investigation, and that they didn't release that part into the discovery, and it's all circumstantial. And the whole point as to why they went to Wisconsin was to get Chris to roll on her, and he didn't. Now, again, I do not believe NK was ever on board with killing the girls. No. In fact, I have other notes here, but I'm gonna sidestep because I don't have this note in here, but there's a point in that interview where the policeman says, Nick or whatever his name is, the one where the dad was at, okay? They don't have video of it, they just have the audio. And the cop says, "So you mean to tell me, let's hypothetically, if Chris said, my wife, she's gone, she's out of the picture, or she disappeared." And, the dad tried you're leading, but he actually got the question out. He goes, "Would you stay with him?" And he's like, "Well, no, I would have asked where she was." And he's like, no, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, she's out of the picture. Would you stay with him? Would you be with him? And she goes, "Well, no, he killed the girls," because, it was the way she said it and the passion behind it. I really think that was like, a Freudian, oh my God, this was never part of the plan. You know what I mean? Like, he killed the girls. She was more focused on him killing the girls. She never once said, "Oh no, because he murdered his wife." It was always, well, he killed the girl. You know what I mean? They were so little, that sort of thing.
She had absolutely she did not give a flying flip about Shanann at all.
At all.
She was
she
very...
She didn't say her name a lot. She would...
No, she referred to her as she at the time, and her, which was disgusting. But yeah, not that she had a lot of passion or emotion. I mean, she was even horrible about her friend Charlotte, whose dad had just died. She was even really, was all about how it affected her, not, I might just leave my friend and, alone. She was even slamming her own friend who just lost her dad. Like, there was no empathy. They were certainly a perfect pair, those two, NK and CW, lacking empathy. That's the most thing that they had most important thing they had in common. Yeah. But anyway.
So I believe the original plan was to get rid of Shanann after she returned from her trip, and NK's role could very well have been to hide somewhere, maybe help him move the body, or make sure that the girls didn't come downstairs. I mean, who knows? But at the bottom, the bottom line here was, I think that the plan was to unlock her phone, Shanann's phone, which was the biggest monkey wrench. I love it in their plan because she changed the code, was to unlock her phone and stage text saying, "Where are you? I'm coming. I want to save our marriage. I'm coming to talk to you. I love you. I want to save our family." Have her seem like she didn't even care that she was leaving the girls at the house. Like, she was going to go find him. And have her, where it looked like Shanann was backing out of the Lexus, but it was really NK. How would they have known it was her? You know what I mean? Her phone was off. But the fact that she couldn't get Shanann's phone to unlock was like, oh, shit, what do we do now?
And just on that too, because I'm kind of interrupting just to go back to basics for some of the people that are watching that might have moved on a little bit too, but you may remember when Shanann's phone was found upstairs, Chris couldn't unlock it. It was actually Nicole Atkinson who knew that the new code to get in was the due date of the baby. So that's very interesting. And that's now, like I said, I kind of moved on from it a bit, but I don't remember creators talking about the changed passcode on Shanann's phone, but I think it's very relevant if that was part
very
of
relevant. And I think what happened then was I think that the girls unfortunately walked in and saw everything happening. I think they saw NK there. I really do. And that's when they freaked. And I believe that they tossed Shanann's phone on the floorboard. They were she was probably sitting in the car already, tossed it on the floorboard. And it could have been her walking out the freaking garage, and how her phone pinged when she called Jim, that 1 minute phone call, it pinged from Frederick. She could have walked down the road and was like, Jim, come get me. I'm here. This is where I'm at. Can you come pick me up? I'm just putting this out there. Like, I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just saying that this is what could have happened based upon all the things that are unexplained. Like, I'm sorry, but there have been creators that have said, oh, satellite pings aren't reliable, this, that, and the other. My dad's a retired policeman. He retired 35 years on the force. He was an investigator for, I think, 13, 14 years of those. He told me that is some of the most, like, accurate information that they can actually verify, not more than one way, too.
Right.
So
just just jumping to chat, we will be looking at chat and questions and stuff. And I'm a problem. Just mentioned they don't do interrogation because she was never, NK wasn't classed as a suspect or even a person of interest. It was an interview only. And there's also a mention about her work phone belonging to another employee before she started at Anadarko, because there's a question or comment by Beth saying, don't forget the girlfriend had a new phone and deleted text messages on her old phone. But and there's also a comment to a question from T. Lee. Why is it so hard to believe the Rzuceks when they say Chris Watts did it alone?
Well, I think he did. I think he did kill them all by himself. Like, I don't think that NK killed anyone. I will say that. I think there could have been a fight. I don't know what's up with the bald spot on her head. But I don't think she physically hurt anyone that night. I really don't. I think that she helped with maybe instigating Chris to do it and helping him a little bit after the fact, or trying to, until they, realized it wasn't going to go down the way that they thought it would. I will say, I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that the girls were ever part of the plan. Like, even with Chris, I don't think that he initially planned that. I just don't. I think that was like, oh shit, and it's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, I think he is awful. He's a family annihilator. He's horrible. He's where he needs to be. He needs to rot. He's a disgusting person. I'm not here to defend him whatsoever. I'm just saying that I think that there's someone else, possibly two other people, that were in on the plan. I just personally, it's just my opinion. And because these are the questions I have. Okay.
Yeah.
What's with the obvious bald spot on her head? I believe everyone's noticed that bald spot. Why was she wearing a freaking long-sleeved hoodie in August? Just curious. And last but not least, why of all nights would her phone ping that morning from the Frederick Tower? Like, what are the odds? She would literally, Tori, have to be the most unluckiest person on the planet if that was pure coincidence. Okay.
So when let's go back to your theory, because we kind of went off track a bit with some comments, but let's go back to where you think that, leave Jim out of this, dropped Nicole off at the house in Saratoga Trail. Let's go to there. What happened then?
Well, I just think that, anything. I just think that, obviously, it's one of those theories where the main concept is kind of what I'm getting at, but the little details could have happened any sort of way. He could have dropped her off at, she could have given some bullshit story that she's, going to see a friend or a family, who knows, that she needs him to, who knows?
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Let's go to the house, and Jim has dropped Nicole off at the house before Shanann gets home. That's where we were up to.
Yeah, and I think she went in. I think she either went in through the back and went down in the basement, or that's the most plausible way that she went in, because I think he must have had to have dropped her off in the back, because Nate's camera, Chris would have known it was there. I mean, we obviously know that he knew it was there, and that's the whole purpose behind my plan, is why I think that she was going to get in the Lexus and back out and have her phone and stage all those text messages where it'll just look like, Shanann was just trying to track Chris down. She drives out to Survey, Christopher, was able to like somehow get away from the explosion, who knows how, and explodes on her. Like, I don't know, he's Susanna Darko. This is just my theory.
Yeah. So, but back to the house. So Nicole's in the basement. This is your theory. Nicole's in the basement. Shanann gets home. What happens next?
Chris, I mean, I don't think Nicole was like standing out where she could see her. I think she was hiding down there somewhere. Who knows? But I do think that Chris was down there and was like, come on down, because they wanted to get away from the girls' room, in case things got crazy, because Shanann was pissed. She saw that freaking charge. She knew he was cheating on her. She was going to confront him. You don't mean to tell me like that you think, not you, Tori, this is like, a general statement, like anyone out there would actually think that Shanann went home, crawled into bed. They slept, made love, as Chris said. No, she was pissed. She saw that charge. Now, do I think she said, you're never going to see the girls again? Absolutely. She was like, I've got you. You're busted. I'm taking the girls, this house, say goodbye to the equity in this house. Yes, Shanann's she was a smart lady. I think she had him by the balls at that point, was like, you're not going to, you're going to pay for this. Cause she was, loyal to him. She was a great mom, pregnant with their third child that he talked her into, by the way,
Yep. But we need to carry on with your theory, because you've chatted to me about it in a lot more detail, and I want you to explain to everyone your theory about when Shanann
I think she
got home and what happened.
Chris had been sleeping I think Chris had been sleeping in the basement, as we know. And he was down there waiting for her, and she gets down there. And I think that, I don't know if like AD's theory about the, what do you call it? The chloroform, like possibly, she could have been sedated. But I do think there was some sort of struggle, be it with Shanann or the girls with NK, because that bald spot, Tori, bothers me on NK.
Well, I'm a problems in chat saying the bald spot isn't ripped out hair. It's the pattern of how some people's hair naturally grows. Yeah.
But I want to see other pictures then with that bald spot.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's ever done a comparison of her hairdos and pointed out the bald spot.
Well, maybe it is. I mean, I'll give her the benefit of it. I mean, I don't know. This is just all theory. But I want to know why she was wearing a long sleeve hoodie. But then I was thinking to myself, and this is me playing devil's avocado on myself, on the way home from work. I was like, well, what's her name? Tammy was wearing a long sleeve that day, when she was interviewing Chris. I mean, maybe just super cold in there. I don't know.
Well, no, because I've seen that footage of the interview with NK in the hoodie, and that's a day that her dad isn't there, and everyone else is wearing T-shirts and I think Tammy's in the footage in a white. It's not the stripy top; it's like a white short sleevey kind of blousey thing.
Yeah. So it could be her hairline. Like someone says I think it's her hairline. Maybe it is. I feel sorry for her. If that was my hairline, I would never wear my hair in a ponytail. I'm just putting it out there, especially if I had dark hair, because then it would be more obvious that I have like a bald spot looking thing. That's just me.
Also, would Nicole have decided to be at the house knowing a murder was about to happen? Well, if she was in on the get rid of Shanann and blow up something out at Anna Darko.
If it was money motivated, and
we're assuming the idea of doing this was to ultimately Chris to get a huge payout, and then they would live happily ever after with the girls.
And the life insurance money. I mean, there was other money and the equity in the house. He would have got to keep it all. I mean, there's so much about this. And this is just a theory. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and I am so fine with eating crow. It doesn't bother me. But I do think that at the very least, maybe, and I've heard this come from somebody else before. I don't know if it was on a podcast or earlier, like on YouTube, like back in the day. someone theorized that NK and him at the lazy dog, whatever, that date, like that she said to him, you got to get rid of her. And he took it literally. Like, cause he, some people think he's like high functioning autistic or whatnot, but, and that could be possible too. Like I'm open to all of it, but this is just my theory because I grew up watching like freaking, IDTV, like the old school, like, court TV and the A&E when you had like the True Detectives and like all of these old late 80s, early 90s forensic files type shows where crazy shit happens. Like we can't wrap our brains around it because we are normal functioning human beings. We can't understand the mind of someone who would plan a murder or act out a murder because we're not wired like that. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say like, oh, that could never happen. And you're, it's a bunch of horseshit. Well, maybe it's not, maybe I've seen a lot of cases that have been solved where it was financially motivated and people wanted to get huge payouts. And,
well, it's often a motive.
Yeah.
Especially
Isn't it the number one motive of all? It's money first and then sex, right? It's money, then like a relationship or sex or lust, but it's always money first.
If you get the money, you can buy as much sex as you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your theory is that essentially Nicole was at the house because she was going to drive Shanann's car a little bit after Chris had left for work out to Anadarko to him after sending text messages on Shanann's phone saying, I'm furious about this. We need to sort this out. I'm coming out to see you at work. But obviously, with the code having been changed on Shanann's phone,
mm-hmm.
if that was part of the plan, they couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she was? How do you explain the sheets off the bed?
I think that there was physical, sexual DNA on that, honestly, and I think it was Chris and NK. Like, and they used that to just, wrap Shanann's body in. And they were initially going to, that was going to get burnt in the explosion too. Like, who knows? Like, this is all like, how you are. I mean, everyone that is listening to this, even if you think I'm crazy for saying any of this, you've all done this, right? You've all like suspended your disbelief and like come up with like what could have happened type scenarios. And as crazy as some of those seem, oftentimes, like I can name several cases off the top of my head that what really happened was, oh my God, like, wow.
Oh, yeah, the truth is often stranger than fiction for sure.
Right.
And that's, we're not dispelling your theory. I'm just asking, I'm playing devil's avocado and throwing questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when we talked, you told me your whole theory.
Yeah, this is our normal friendship. Like we are always like this. So, yeah.
True, but when we chatted the other day, you told me your theory in like a big block, and there were a lot of things.
I'm drinking wine right now.
So that's why I'm reminding you about some things because essentially the other night, your thoughts were that Nicole and Chris had actually shagged in the master bedroom bed, and the sheet was used to wrap up Shanann, but the murder actually happened in the basement.
Oh yeah, I still think that. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so then Chris gets his stuff together. He's got to go to work. How did the girls then suddenly come into play with all of this?
I think that one of two things happened. Either Shanann was yelling so loud it woke them up, or the ruckus somehow of like, oh my God, holy shit, I can't unlock her phone woke them up and she's screaming. Like, who knows? But what I think is the most probable reason as to why they woke up was Chris freaking open in the garage. And Bella's a light sleeper. Like, I had I don't now, but I used to have a 2-story house, and my son's bedroom was over the garage. And I would also have my husband park on the road because if he opened the garage, it would wake Sean up. You know what I mean? So I can see how that could happen. Like he opens the garage and they wake up and come downstairs and they see everything.
And so do you think he took everyone to the site, Shanann and the girls? And do you think the girls were alive when they left the house?
Yes, I think the girls were alive when they left the house. I think he was still trying to figure out, oh shit, what do I do? And I don't think that NK knew what he was going to do, honestly. I think she was probably freaking out and didn't know what was going to happen, but I never thought that the girls being, annihilated was ever part of any plan. I think that was just not, sorry. I don't think, my personal opinion is that was like, we have witnesses.
So do you think that the original plan was it was just going to be Chris taking Shanann's body out to the site?
Mm-hmm. And it was going to, the stage text were going to make it seem like she was in such a desperate thought, like she didn't even want to wake the girls up and take them with her. You know what I mean? That she was just wanted to get to Chris and talk to him and try to save their marriage. And I think that in kind of a sick way, because Chris is a sicko, like I think it could have been one last dig from him. I mean, like, oh, she didn't even care about the girls. She just drove off and left them there. You know what I mean? Like, just because he's such an asshole. That's just leave the girls alone at home. Yeah. Like, I think that was because Chris is such a sicko. I mean, we're talking about a sick monster who puts his kids, I don't even want to say it, but disposes his kids the way that he did. Like, this is a monster. It's a monster. I'm sorry, but he's disgusting. He is disgusting. And I don't know. This is just my opinion, and we all have crazy opinions. Like, I was talking with someone at work the other day that was very, very familiar with this case as well. And her theory was even crazier than mine. But that's the thing about being like an online, I don't even want to call it a sleuth, because I'm not trying to solve anything. I'm just trying to like say, this is my opinion. I know that there have been other creators that have mentioned similar things, if not some of the points that I have. So I know it's not like completely out of left field, but I'm sorry. Like, I know there are a lot of people that want to believe, oh, NK just had an affair with a man. Like, that was her only crime. Sorry. Don't buy it. Don't buy it at all, because I don't know. And maybe it's because I'm emotional and I'm a highly sensitive person. But if I was in case, like if I was a hoochie mama, right? And I slept with married men, and this just so happened to be, I put myself in her shoes. I would be so distraught. Okay. In those interviews that I would be freaking a wreck the entire interview. And maybe I know everyone's different and she was in shock maybe and all of this, but she was laughing and jovial in a lot of those interviews. And I'm sorry, but it weirded me out.
Weirded me out too. Like, yeah, without doubt. And
the guy that you were looking up wedding dresses to like marry. Okay. The guy that you were like helping find apartments that, you were just casually dating, you weren't serious with, whatever. But that same guy, okay, so he annihilates his family, kills his children, and you're just gonna like joke around about. And honestly, there were moments in those interviews where it almost seemed like she was flirting with the cops, like
on several occasions. I just want to cover a few comments in the chat. There've been there's T. Lee says, I don't believe it's a bald spot. I have the same hairline and has thyroid problems, so she's cold when it's 100 outside.
Fine. I'll give her that. Okay, so maybe it's not a bald spot.
No, cool. Yeah, look, where the bald spots, obviously, whether
it's just a minor thing, yeah.
But I just want to add to that too, because I mean, if it could be evidence if you believe the long sleeves were covering up scratched arms and the bald spot, there was a tussle between her and Shanann. But I just want to say to everyone in chat that, some of you would wear hoodies and you get cold, but I spent a lot of time in prisons and in police interrogation rooms and things like that when I was a criminal lawyer. And I'm the opposite. I find those rooms are really stuffy. I actually used to wear, even in winter, if I had like a jumper on, I'd actually have like a tank top or a T-shirt on underneath, and I'd be sitting in that, because you do get, normally, if you're in those sort of environments for hours on end, the rooms get really stuffy. It was a hot day. So, I mean, there's two sides to that, you know.
Absolutely. You're right.
Some people would have worn a hoodie and other people would be peeling off all their clothes. I just want to go to I Love Meekster. I think NK was there. They killed Shanann and Bella walked in and witnessed it. Then they had to get rid of the girls. Yep. Chris stated she wasn't supposed to be there. Was he talking about NK or Bella?
I think he's talking about Bella. I think I've always thought that though she wasn't supposed to be there, he had a very, I don't know, like there was, I wish I had a note on this because I can't think of it right now, but there was a Freudian slip with him too. But the whole thing with she wasn't supposed to be there. Like I really think that Bella came downstairs.
Yep.
Looking for a mom, because she was a mama's girl.
She was. And she hadn't been sleeping that night either. I'm as not on board with this at all. That's fine. She thinks leaving the kids behind so they could scream the house down crying and be heard by neighbours is an
I don't think that would have happened, though. I don't think that. I don't know if you've watched. They played pretty independently together. Like Bella was a mommy figure, and like I don't think that part was like even registering in Chris's brain. Like honestly, I don't think that this guy was thinking straight. Like I don't think. I mean, I don't know. This is just a theory. This is just something that.
Yeah, no, Shannon, it's good. We're just having a discussion. They're not criticizing you.
Yeah, like I just wish I had better answers to some of these questions because like.
Well, it's all food for thought again.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a great point. I mean, because Nate would have heard it. I mean, he's he's all up in everybody's business. But
exactly. I mean, maybe the plan was that NK took the girls alive out to the site as well in the Lexus. I don't know. I mean, one issue I've got is if this was the plan, and I used to think that it was to set it all up out at the site a long time ago and blow up the tanks. And not because of the petrol tank in Chris's truck. And if I make a mental note to go back to that, I will, because you don't need petrol to blow up an oil tank.
Right.
You need oxygen and a naked flame.
Chris Watts killed his family. Okay, Sam Terry. I want to clarify that. We've never, like, I don't think anyone but Chris annihilated his family. Tori, do you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, just want to clarify in case Sam he may have come late. He may not have heard the beginning.
No, that's cool. And I'm actually just going to go through some other chats that have happened further up. So we'll just try and stay on them. But what I was trying to say was one issue I did have with the setting it up with the explosion out at Anadarko is if NK had have driven Shanann's Lexus out there and Chris had already taken Shanann's body out to the site, there was a massive risk for her potentially being spotted by other Anadarko workers who might have been going out to Survey, like to the site where...
Yeah.
Was. So that's one little thing I'm like, it was pretty risky for her to
it was risky,
the man's car, unless it was super early. But how was she going to get, like, were they going to set up the explosion and presumably get away from the site safely together in his truck so they didn't go up in flames as well?
Yeah, like I don't know, like, and maybe this is why they'll leave Jim alone. Like maybe Jim was more involved than we know. Like maybe he was like kind of the getaway for all of it. Like you never know. Maybe he was going to get a cut. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like the bottom line is I just don't think that NK is innocent. That's just me. That's just me.
I'm just going to go through a few more comments as well. Mona. Hi, Tori. Hi, Mona. Her hair had been torn out in a tussle. Had her hair been torn out in a tussle, it would have been very red on the day she was interrogated. I've heard other people say it's a natural spot. I don't have an opinion about the hair. To be honest, I looked at an interview of hers to try and see where this bald spot is. I saw a patch of light reflecting off her head near her ponytail, but when she moved her head, you could see there was hair there. Where's this bald spot? Is it in her hairline? Is it on the sides? Is it on the top? Where is it? Because
yeah, it's like on her right side. So like you can clearly see it in the final interview that was recorded where she goes into the station and she's wearing the hoodie. You can clearly see like there is a chunk of hair missing, and maybe it is her hairline. Like I said, well,
I think somebody needs to do a hair comparison of her, like some of the photos of her out on the sand dunes, because I didn't notice any, if it is a natural hair thing, I didn't notice any bald spots when she was doing the sandboarding and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, Mona, I don't have a bald hair patch theory at all. Just so you know. Hey, Anne-Marie, good to see you. Sam says he didn't get to finish his plan. NA did put a stop to it, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think he was going to drive her Lexus off after work and pretend.
That's a good theory too, and that would actually make sense. Like if they went to the lazy dog. Okay, so this is another probable thing. So as I said in the beginning, like this whole like timeline and what I came up with is just one of many scenarios that could have happened, right? So another thing that could have happened is she told him at the lazy dog, hey, get rid of her. And he took it literally. And he was like, well, I can cash out and make lots of money. Like this could be my way. And maybe she was completely like uninvolved in the whole plot to begin with.
Well, I think that he was planning it before the lazy dog night personally, but just on Sam's point too, I think that that's very probable that he was basically going to go to work, get rid of the bodies, do his day at work, get home, and just take Shanann's car. Hang on, wait. Take her car to some place and said, she's left me. But it was Nicole Atkinson who mucked up that plan. I think he was an idiot because he forgot that Shanann had the appointment with the doctor in the morning. But the other thing is there's also I think his plan, whatever it was, did get thrown, a spanner got thrown in the works with things like them not being able to get into her phone. So that's why then he's suddenly doing all the calling the realtor and the school. And I think a lot of what actually happened on the day they went missing, he fucked up royally because it wasn't the original part of the plan, and whether or not he was getting any help from NK on that day when they were chatting on the phone. I mean, they were chatting on the phone even when he was at the house when the cops had all got there. But, yeah, I do agree that NA definitely messed up whatever plans they had. Yeah. If not, heaps of other things had already.
I have a question for you, Tori. I have a question. What do you think about the freaking Metallica Battery song? Like, do you think that was just a coincidence that that she had him look up those lyrics?
No, that's always really bugged me. I don't think it was a coincidence at all. I mean, even though Metallica have said the song isn't about blowing up a battery or whatever, but no, I don't. But there's a lot of the NK stuff that I think is why people are still so fascinated by this case and wanting to find all the missing pieces. But no, I don't think that was just a random coincidence. I mean, they've got phone records. I don't think there was a mention in any other part of the discovery about her telling him to look up Metallica's song lyrics. But I Love Meekster definitely agrees with taking to the car side and blowing everything up. Yeah, that was my feeling right at the start. I think even when I was on J for J's panel, I said that.
You did.
Mona, I've heard something very similar to this theory.
Okay, good.
Mary Marlowe.
Oh God.
Mary Marlowe went with this for months until she went insane.
Oh well, I'm not like that passionate about it. I just think it's a possibility.
Sam, we have accepted Chris. I know that Shanann addressed that before, but we're not that channel. We're not saying that they haven't. In fact, I've been very firm in that view right from the very start when I was on AD's panel 2 weekends, or last weekend actually, I explained how I even got kicked out of Facebook groups because I wouldn't budge from that. So, yeah, please don't think we're...
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
We just
I
think
will never defend that monster.
There are questions. I mean, there's no reason why channel creators who originally got onto this case in 2018 are still talking about it now. Like, yes, a whole new generation of creators who discovered the case because of the Netflix documentary, but there wouldn't be creators. I mean, I do think a lot of the creators, especially one I was formerly connected to, the money side of it has now become the primary motive for doing it. But there's certainly still channels popping up every day talking about, even ours. Like, I'm not a Chris Watts case channel at all, but Shanann had this theory, and I think the phone code thing is pretty relevant. And I don't remember anyone that I've watched. Mind you, I haven't been watching that many channels in the last year or so, but I don't remember anyone really going into detail about that. And the phone, I think, and you do too, Shanna, that he brought that back into the house with him when he arrived back at...
Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. And I also think they had burner phones, don't you? Like, I think that they had another method to, like, communicate, him and Kay. And wasn't it you that said that you can see on the body cam footage that it looks like he's got his work phone clipped to the side, he's holding his personal phone, but it looks like he's got another phone on top of it. And I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a burner phone. And I think that that when he opened up Shanann's, the Lexus, when he went into the garage and he bent down, I think he picked up her phone and then went upstairs and tossed it in the cushions.
So you think her phone was in the car?
Mm-hmm. I think that's where they were sitting trying to unlock it because they were going to stage all those text messages.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Because I was actually on Oni's panel.
Oni.
Beetlejuice, and got him to slow down the footage when Chris pulls up at the house and gets out of the truck and walks up to the house. He does have a phone clipped on his jeans, but he's also holding a phone and another black object together.
He's got something else on top of it. Yeah, like Kimberly.
If it's not another phone, then he's holding a clutch or a handbag.
Yeah. Well, Kimberly said, wouldn't he have a work phone too? Well, that's what we're saying. He has his work phone clipped to the side. You can clearly see it on his pant belt or whatnot. And he's holding what looks like 2 phones.
Yeah. I'm just going to go back. You're down the bottom of comments. I don't want to miss any further up. We get you're not criticising.
Oh, no, she's great.
We want these things to be thrown around a bit because... there's and don't trust me too, guys. I'm not going to become a Chris Watts channel. Just Shanna and I had a chat. We were like, let's just go live about it. Everyone else has thrown a theory out there, and if it adds a bit of extra food for thought, because I do want, when we finish this, to go back to some of the critical points that you've brought up. One is the phone, but also the little Freudian slips and so on. Now I'm just going to go down and see if there's any other comments, or maybe you've covered them all. You're busily chattering in chat.
I'm trying to reassure people, because I know that people are trickling in and they haven't heard all of what we've said, to let them know that we're not defending Chris Watts by any means.
I think we've clarified that, and people keep bringing it up in chat, and they can rewatch this because that's
true.
No, I mean, that was what I was going to say with AD when he was asking me about the Chris Watts case. The reason I got hooked in on it was because I saw the video of Chris Watts on the porch begging them to come home, and it instantly rung a ding, 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 that guy is fucking guilty, and I've never budged from that. And the reason why, and I don't have a great hinky meter all the time, but sometimes I do. But the reason why I was hooked instantly, and I started Googling it, and at this point Shanann and the girls were still missing. The porch interview, they hadn't been found at that point. But there was a case in Australia, the murder of a beautiful woman called Alison Baden Clay, married to a total narcissist.
I saw this.
Like Chris Watts, with 3 girls. He only murdered her. I mean, it shouldn't have murdered anyone, but He gave an interview outside his house with his sister standing next to him, and it's almost a mirror image or chriswatts. So that's what hooked me into it. But, yeah, I didn't budge from Chris did it from the start.
And that's why I think Tori and I are so, we clicked, because we're like-minded in that. Like, never,
cool.
ever. Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
I just saw Sam's comment that they weren't saying we didn't think Chris killed his family. There's people that really think Chris didn't kill anyone.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I know. And I think that shit crazy.
Like, what the hell?
They are absolutely batshit crazy. See ya, Ima. She says, got to run. Just remember, no one likes a home-wrecking bitch. However, as the rechecks...
Sorry.
I know. As the rechecks once said, they left no stone unturned. Sandy to give justice to those who died. Case closed. And look, I'm of the same view. The case kind of is closed for me. It doesn't mean that I'm happy with the fact that there are all of these unturned stones. And I think channels that are trying to turn over stones, and they're coming from a good place, and it's not about making money. They just genuinely want to see if they can find some answers that people are looking for. I can see why. This case is going to be talked about forever. It is a case.
It is.
People talk about Jack the Ripper, and it happened a long time before any of us were born. Yep, Ted Bundy, Charles Manson, you name any, the Beaumont children in South Australia, you name any true crime case, people are still talking about it a long time after it happened. So those people that think this case should just disappear, you don't understand how the true crime community world operates.
It's true, yeah.
People cover cases all the time. People are talking about, what's her name? The Lacey Peterson cases.
Scott Peterson, yeah.
There's stuff happening all the time. So it ain't going to go away. We just thought that there were some things that were worth throwing into the mix, and Shanna has got some brilliant, intuition.
I have to give Tori props, because Tori listened to my crazy conspiracy for an hour.
Great to have you, though, Ima. She says, was good to listen to other views, but still no change in her. And that's cool too. That's fine. We're just putting some pieces out there that I don't recall anyone talking about the significance of Chris not being able to get into Shanann's phone, and I do think that is a really interesting point. Hey to everyone cruising in. Oh, my slow cooker just clicked down to 4 hours. I've got Rogan Josh lamb shanks cooking in my slow cooker at the moment. I'm just scrolling down, so I don't want to miss any.
You're such a good creator. You're such a good channel owner. You're making everyone. That's awesome, Tori.
Kimberly, I've seen enough of this tragedy, but Kimberly, you came here. If I see Chris Watts in a time, I'm like, as you are, have a lovely time. And then I see Cat scared by Acorn, and I go and watch that. Now, some of my friends turned me on to you. This is I Love Mixter. I'm usually in the bushes, but thank you, I Love Mixter. Thank you very much.
I like her.
Sam Terry, you guys are going great. Aww. Respectful. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
I'm only highlighting the positive comments. Not that there were negative ones. Just you keep fluffing our pillows and telling us we're fabulous. Lady Pegasus is with me. She knew Chris had killed them when she saw the interview on the porch. Yes. He did look guilty.
He did.
I'm surprised NK hasn't come forward. She could make a shitload. She could. And NK was Googling, how much money Amber Fry made for her tell-all about Scott Peterson. There were dollar signs in her eyes right from the start that you can't deny that. This beautiful pregnant woman and her little girls are murdered, and that bitch is typing about book deals and how much money Amber Fry made, and did people hate Amber Fry? Her brain, I don't know where it goes, but it was so warped. Everything about her in those interviews, the things that she was Googling, the whole thing was just so warped for somebody who's just found out that their lover has wiped out his family, and these two tiny girls, they're so small. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. She's not a very likable person. If that was NK presenting as NK, and you've got to watch videos from different perspectives. Like, you've got to watch it as, I believe she's innocent, and watch it. Then you've got to go, I believe she's guilty as sin, and watch it. Like, you've got to look at it in different contexts. But even if you do that, whatever context you're doing it, she's not a likable person.
She's not. She's not
at all. No.
I will say this. I think that she knew that Chris was manipulative, like easily to be manipulated, and molded him to, do a lot of the shit she wanted to do, like get done, Like, I think that she's smart. I think that, like, I don't think that NK's an idiot. I think that she covered her tracks well in case something like that were to happen. I think that she had it all figured out. She had Chris by the balls, honestly.
Oh, totally. I mean, he would have been a piece of piss to manipulate. His mum did it. Shanann did it. NK would have done it. I mean, the guy was the biggest limp dick on the planet. And he was. I mean, a brick could have manipulated Chris Watts. He was thick as two short planks and had no balls at all. Was this spineless little turd. So, yeah, I mean, Nicole would have had she would have been getting her way with him going over there and shagging her all the time. All of it. Like, not shagging her, exactly. Not just the horrible stuff that happened to Shanann and the girls, but NK would have been manipulating him in every respect. Meekster just commented too about the looking up Shanann a year before, and that's where
weird.
That's where we started, where,
freaking weird.
And I always thought too, there's no way they worked together and hadn't seen each other. And if rumour is correct that she was the Anadarko town bike, she was working her way through all of the people out there. So he was radar. But I think that the fact that Googling Shanann a year before was on the phone records does support the theory that they had met and had known each other a long time before they both claimed.
Yeah.
I think they both came up with that story. That was part of their story that they'd created.
I agree.
When we were talking to before, another thing that I remembered was, who do you think Chris was talking about when he said, I don't want to protect her? Because most people think he was saying it about, like he says it to Ronnie, I think. Most people think it was Shanann because he's about to do the whole Tammy Lee story about Shanann killing girls. But I often wonder if some of those comments were actually about other people.
Yeah, like I really think that he was in over his head. Like I think that honestly, like, he was in love with her, but I think at the same time, like, it was an issue. Like, he almost wanted to break away from the situation in a sense. And I think that he was frustrated about just everything at that point in time. He was having like a freaking psychological, I don't know, like he was hyped up on that freaking Thrive and not sleeping. Like, I just don't think he was thinking straight. Like, I'm not giving him a pass. I mean, the guy's still a monster in my book. And he killed his whole family. Him alone.
I don't want to give him any credit, like all this whole psychotic rage and...
No, I'm just saying that I think
No,
that...
I'm not saying to you, Shanna. I'm just saying generally when people say into a psychotic rage or it was the Thrive patches, I've never bought into any of that. I think he's a nasty piece of shit, full stop.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he was on this without the influence of Thrive, without this psychotic rage that people think had happened, whatever it was. I honestly think if he'd gone into a psychotic rage, he would have been way more horrible to Shanann in the manner in which he killed her than he was.
Yeah, I do think there is an element though, like, because I'm from a military family, like I have people in my family that have gone to SEER school and they like sleep deprive these people, and it makes lack of sleep will make people, I wouldn't say like, I'm just saying that this, do I think that he was easier to manipulate in his state of mind at that point in time? Absolutely. Do I think he is 100% responsible for everything that happened? Absolutely. But do I think other people were involved as well? That's my point. Like, I think that she, at the very least, okay, so you know how some people are like, at the very least, she had an affair with a married man. In my opinion, at the very least, she pushed him to do this. Not kill the girls. Like, I never thought that was the plan, but like, to get rid of his wife. I really do.
Which is so warped because it's like, I really want to be with you. You're not in love with her anymore. Get a divorce. Okay, you're going to be a bit broke for a while, but we've got two incomes. My income's a regular income as well. Let's just get on with it. You know, that's what a reasonable person would do. I just want to say back on the Thrive stuff, like, I'm not discounting what you're saying. I think that his lack of sleeping and everything else were all elements in creating this perfect storm. But I think even if you took the lack of sleep, the Thrive, all of it out of the equation, he still would have done it because he's an evil person.
Because he's the freaking
I think I'm sort of trying to clarify. I don't think those things caused it to happen.
No.
I just think that he would have. And the other thing I was going to say was, the psychotic rage side of it, without getting too graphic, but in terms of how people kill people and what sort of state of mind they're in, the aftermath of a psychotic rage is incredibly brutal to the victim. Strangling someone is a horrible thing to do as well, but it's an incredibly personal and intense thing. But a psychotic rage usually involves a knife or something. Right. It's a lot more more violent.
Yeah, but I don't think it was rage. I think it was a
no. I know you don't. I know you. Hang on, Shanna.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, in general too. Like, personally, I don't think it was rage. I think it was him just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I just don't know, you know, like but he was being selfish. I think he's a selfish asshole. And I think that he was going to do whatever it took to get him out of a situation that, you know, it's hard to like try to analyze the thought process of like a family annihilator, but it's like that guy did you ever hear about that guy in Utah that blew up his house, like with his kids inside? Like, it was like a murder-suicide. What was it? I'm trying to think. Susan Powell or something. Like, but they were going through this custody battle. She was missing. He probably killed her because he said he was camping in like sub-0 degree temperatures with his, you know, kids that weekend. But he killed her, and it was just a weird.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the house explosion.
Like, that's another case that I'm like, I don't know how to analyze someone's brain like that. Like, they're so crazy.
Totally crazy. And look, one of the things is, as well, with the Chris Watts case, is the family annihilator stuff fascinates me, because it's usually these people that you wouldn't expect, and it's just something that happens. They're usually white, in their 30s. Most family annihilations take place in August, which is when this did. Like, all these things that have happened in other family annihilations, they tick all the boxes. But where Watts was, again, a standout that made me go, I'm interested in this, is usually the perpetrator kills himself at the end of it.
Yep.
And he didn't. And there's the other case, is it John List, who murdered his entire family, walked out of the house, had music playing. They were all assembled in the ballroom of the house under blankets, walked out the door, went on to remarry and live a perfectly normal life until his wife recognised him on America's Most Wanted show, and that's how he got it. But he was I know, it's an interesting case, but he was not unique, but unusual too, because usually the family annihilator wipes out the family and then they take their own lives. But Watts didn't do that. Again, further proof of what I mean.
Yeah, he's a freaking hate that guy. Sorry.
The thing that sucks about it is, because he is alive, there's an opportunity, well, there could have been an opportunity for people to actually analyse him and interview him and get into his mind and see what made this happen, because family annihilators are not your typical murderers. Like, they're in their own genre, and they're bizarre. They usually don't have any criminal history before they do this sort of stuff. But the problem is that he's a compulsive liar. He's dimwit. He's a narcissist, and they're never going to ever find out the truth from him because he's such a big fat liar.
Yes.
So we finally got an opportunity to pick the brain of somebody that goes and does this, and it had to be that doofus.
Hey, Tori, have you looked up that someone said that most family annihilators were born in May? They were like, that's creepy.
Yeah, there's a really interesting article that goes through. Let me get it up, and what ticks all the psychology behind it. Here we go. If this is the article I'm thinking of, I read this stuff too often. They did a study of them and found all these common. God, I hate ads on. Oh, ads are giving me the shits on Google now. Like, they just pop up and stop you from reading everything. Hang on, I'll do family annihilator study. What annoys me, like, I don't want to buy a pair of friggin' sneakers with a 30% off voucher if I sign up. Okay, so this study was done in 2013. And I accept, and they've got 4 different profiles for them. Mm-hmm. And the first profile is, most men are likely to do it in August, which is when Watts murdered his family. The next step is, hang on. And then, wait, this isn't the article I want. There's one that's got like a checklist and the different types, but one of the types is they're motivated by shitty finances, family breakups. See, 81% of men who kill members of their family attempt to kill themselves afterwards.
Wow, 81. Wow.
They rarely have criminal records. And like a normal murderer will usually have some sort of criminal history with escalation. They might also be known to mental health services or drug counsellors, but family annihilators usually have a clean sheet. They were perceived by everyone as being loving dads and fathers, husbands, holding down high-profile jobs. They just aren't on the radar, which is why they're so interesting. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, to finally have one that is alive and they could actually characteristics, here we go. And they could actually study them, but they've got this turd. They're not going to be able to study anything because he's such a friggin' liar.
Tori, you're going to have to change the comment that you highlighted because it says Tori Watts when I read it too fast.
Oh, shit, yes. I don't want to be known as Tori Watts. But, yeah, it's the least understood. So the first ever study of British family annihilators was published in the Howard Journal of Criminal Justice, and they looked at 3 decades of cases and found 4 types of annihilator. And I'll go through them. 59, they looked at 71 family annihilators, 59 of them were male. There is a definite increase in family annihilations from history now, like there's more happening now. 55% of the men were in their 30s, chriswatts.
Wow, that's crazy.
August is the most common month, watts. Just under half of all murders were committed over weekends, especially on a Sunday.
Wow, no way.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, they do explain that by saying it was often when the father has access to the kids is on weekends, and the Sundays when they're meant to take the kids back, and that's why they do it. And also school holidays is in August, I think, for you guys.
Yeah,
weren't the girls
right.
just about to go back to school?
Yeah, right before. Mm-hmm.
So, because a lot of the family annihilators are in broken marriages, like they've separated or divorced. Mm-hmm. But it does explain some of the fathers doing it on a Sunday and in August. 81% of the men attempted suicide after the act. Some of them had had highly successful careers before the murders. 71% are employed, and the occupations range from surgeons to postmen, police, and truck drivers. Stabbing and carbon monoxide poisoning are statistically the most common murder methods. The majority of the murders take place in the home. And then they looked at the motivations, and there's 4 types. So one is family breakup, which covers 66% of the cases, but that extends to things like access to the children. Financial difficulties were the second most commonly cited motive, followed by honour killing and mental illness.
Wow.
Yeah. Interestingly, the 4 types of family annihilator, there's the self-righteous. The killer seeks to locate blame for his crimes on the mother, who he holds responsible for the breakdown of the family. Disappointed, this killer believes his family's let him down or has acted in ways to undermine or destroy his vision of ideal family life. Then there's anomic. The families become firmly linked in the mind to the killer to the economy. And then there's paranoid, and that's the mental health group. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but unfortunately the majority of them do end their lives, so they're not easy to study. And then you do get one who doesn't, and it's him, and we're never going to find anything out. Yeah, it's all about the money. So anyway, it was a really interesting theory, Shanna, because the things like the code on Shanann's phone also throwing a spanner in the works that I don't know has been covered by a lot of people. I did think about the blowing up tank thing would have been an obvious thing to do, like take the body out there, blow up the tank. She's come out to, confront me about my affair and try to save the marriage, whatever argument they were going to try and use, and oops, boom, because there was already the leak that he'd mentioned before the murders took place, and he said he'd go out there and have a look at it first thing on Monday morning. Now, that leak may not have even been a leak. Like, he might have just said, there's a leak out there, I'll go and look at it.
But what about the letter that he left? What do you think about that?
The one about blame my wife.
If something happens to me,
I haven't thought about this case for such a while in this amount of detail. I mean, to me, that was just proof that it was premeditated.
Yep.
That's all I ever thought about that. I thought it was a pretty stupid thing.
That was my point, Like, I think that was, like, premeditation. He was already thinking about this.
But if that letter was written with his family, then can you go on to say that they knew about it as well? Like, how ridiculous can these theories, well, not ridiculous, but how far can these theories go? Like, if that was written at his parents' house.
Yeah, who knows? This case is crazy, but I still don't think that everything is figured out.
That afternoon sun coming in is making me thirsty. It's winter in it's autumn in Tasmania, and look at me, I'm in short sleeves. I'm not wearing a long sleeved hoodie. Not everyone gets cold. But I think this Kathleen woman that's writing the financial book about them will be really interesting, because I think there is a lot of evidence and information that can come out in the forensics of finances. So I can't. Numbers make me go cross-eyed. That's why I studied law. Lawyers are really good at talking in letters, so in numbers, and accountants, but she's got such a great personality. I'm hoping that she can make numbers sexy with her humour.
Yeah. So what about this person, the card reader?
Oh, yes. Should we play a bit of him?
Do you think he'll strike you, or?
I think we can play a little bit without as commentary, but I don't know. Or do we just play a little bit of audio without showing his video? I'm not sure. I'm already on 1 strike, so 3 strikes you're out. So
is there like a period though that will all go away? Like you clean slate? Really? Seriously?
I think it's till the end. No, I think it's till the end of time. But in Aphrodite's reading, and everyone will be like, oh, you're putting a tarot card reading guy on. But he's actually so spot on with every single reading I've watched him do, like to the point that it's creepily scary. And the one that he does about Nicole Kessinger is absolutely fascinating. And a lot of it ties in with your theory, Shanna, because I actually, after we got off the phone, and chatted for an hour, I listened to it because he is convinced in this reading that Shanann and NK were aware of each other before the murders, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, I could play a little bit of it, and if he strikes, I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to play some stuff, and as long as we stop it and discuss it, we'll be fine. I'm just waiting to see if anyone in chat's like, don't do it, or if people in chat are like, yeah, you can do that, you'll be fine. Other channels play grabs of other people. Other people stream people, for God's sake, and don't seem to get struck.
I think you'll be okay. Like, I mean, we'll put a plug for him. What is his name? Like, subscribe.
Yeah, we'll put the link. I'll put the link to his channel in chat as well.
I did see his Meghan Markle one, and it was really interesting.
Did you watch the one that he did right before the wedding, or the more recent one?
The more recent one.
You've got to watch the one right before the wedding.
Oh, I didn't know there was another one.
Ninja. All right, so I won't show the video. I'm just going to play it, but you just need to let me know if you can hear it, okay?
Hello. Aphrodite here, your pop culture psychic, back to you again with another true crime reading. This time we're doing the Chris Watts case. So,
can you hear that?
Yes.
Just or?
Yes.
So it's not super clear because I've got it at 100.
Sounds good.
Oh, it sounds good? Mm-hmm. All right, so this is a guy that I adore, Aphrodite, and he does... Ms. Markle is unbearable too. He does tarot readings for lots of different things, including he did one on the drama community, and it was really interesting because all the Diane's channel stuff was happening at the time, and he kept saying there's three women, and heaps of people under that are going, oh, my God, it's Diane's channel. But then there were a whole heap of people from another community that had a reading or who had a drama going on with three women as well. It was really interesting. And if you watch that and think of it as Diane's channel, if you know Diane's channel and Wendy and Randy, you can certainly see how they all slot in together. But he also does true crime ones. So I'm going to play – yeah, you'll love him. He's great. A bit of his reading about Nicole Kessinger, just bearing in mind what Shanna's just been chatting about. And I'm keen to hear your reaction more than anyone else's, Shanna. Obviously, I want people to chat about it too, but have a listen to this.
Can we not play his video? Like see it or no?
People in chat said play as long as you only do the audio and not show actual video.
Oh.
Morgan says just talk a lot with it. Oh, bugger. Maybe we'll just show it, but we'll just remind me to stop and start, okay? You there, Shanna?
Yeah, so are you sure you're going to, or just play the audio?
No, I'm going to share it, man.
Okay, cool. Okay, so everyone subscribe to Aphrodite. Is that his name?
Yes. I'll take us off the screen too. I'll give it a full screen. And I'm not going to be watching chat because I'm going to be on his screen to stop and start him, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, I can stop in StreamYard, but hang on, let me just test this. Yeah, it takes him off the screen. Oh, shit, I don't want to do that. I want to keep him up on the screen. So I will play it, but I will have to stop and start. So I'm not going to be reading chat. So, Shanna, you'll need to let me know if people are saying, oh, my God, or far out. Because I'm going to be over on his YouTubes. All right, here we go. Take it away, Aphrodite.
So, asked my chat on Twitch, once again, to help me. Apparently, he allegedly killed his pregnant wife and 2 daughters, and he had a mistress. So we're just going to go right into it. If you haven't watched my other true crime readings, you should. I did just do one on Stephen Avery. Yeah, remember, these readings are for entertainment purposes only.
Just doing a bit of commentary. Just remember, everyone, these are allegedly for entertainment purposes only. just like your theory, Shanna.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, though. I think that you've certainly raised a lot of points that people should be
It's not completely crazy, is it? Like, there's some, like, you can kind of go there.
Well, I've been meaning to tell you throughout this live that I'm doing a new series on the batshit crazy people you'll find on YouTube, and you're episode 1.
Awesome.
It's an honour to be number 1.
Nice.
No, I think it's great. I think everyone's got questions they want answered, and if that throws a few more spanners in the mix. And before we end this live, and I'm not going to do all of Aphrodite, I think everyone needs to watch it in its entirety, but I just want you to listen to the first 5 or 10 minutes of it. Hang on, how long does it go? It's 17 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but we'll listen to like just bits of it. All right, so here we go.
And all alleged. I am using the Tarot of the Haunted House. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do it. I know the number one thing my Twitch stream was asking me is if and what and how his mistress was involved, allegedly. So we're just going to deep dive into this and see what's going on.
I just want to say too, and I'm doing this also so I don't get struck, but if anyone does sub to his channel, throw him a little super chat or something when you get a chance to. I think his PayPal's up there and stuff, so that we can also say because I'll give him some coin.
I'll give him some coin.
Yeah, I'll say we did show this, and thank you for letting us use your content. And that it's not a bribe; it's allegedly for financial gain only. All right, here we go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, King of Swords, in over our head. That's him. Does anyone know his sign, by the way? King of Swords, in over his head. 2 of Swords, 2 people. A decision we can't go back from. However, 2 people and Queen of Wands. So, King of Swords, Queen of Wands. These are 2 people together.
See, that's interesting so far, isn't it?
Wow.
Like, we're in too deep. We've got to keep going with it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it going.
Death card, literal. Chariot. That Chariot is progress halted, but Chariot is also from the Stephen Avery case. We're all similar. Chariot would be like car. So, misdirection with car. Wait a minute. Is he the only one convicted of this crime? Because Ace of Pentacles is reversed. So Ace of Pentacles is like a waste of resources. He's a Taurus. So is he the only one convicted? Because, no, there's 2 here. So Queen and a King. The Star is upright. Again, 2 of Wands and Queen of Swords. Did the mistress fight with the wife ever?
Well, at least I don't feel completely like off base by my theory.
I know the bald
Aphrodite's got my back.
The bald patch, the scratches on the arms. Mm-hmm. Did he fight with the wife? Did they have a verbal altercation? Interesting. Let's keep going with. And is there anything in chat that we should be addressing?
No, other than people saying Scout dropped his link. Thank you, Scout. And Lee said that she'll give him some points. He's pretty good and entertaining.
Sure is.
Yeah.
All right,
and
we'll keep
Lady
going.
Pegasus, thank you.
Interesting about the car too, the Chariot and the car, because he does a reading about Stephen Avery, and as you all know, there were lots of cars, and the girl rocked up in a car, and so it can be a literal, and that could have something to do with the Lexus possibly. But anyway, let's keep going.
This is sex and fighting, Queen of Swords, and Star. This is like attention, destiny, people looking at this. The Wheel of Fortune is reversed. The Moon's upright, and the Fool's reversed. Fool being reversed. He's a Gemini. Is he a Gemini or a Taurus? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is a potential air sign, but it doesn't matter. The Fool's reversed, which is not being naive. The Moon is lies, deceit, deception. And the Wheel of Fortune is reversed. The Wheel of Fortune is bad luck. Let me tell you something. This right here is like, I didn't get what I wanted. This is like bad luck. Like, oh, I didn't get my opportunity. And this lies, deceit, deception, and the Fool's reversed, which is not being naive. This mistress knows way more and is way more involved than anyone ever is going to admit.
Thank you, Aphrodite. Thank you.
Let's continue. It gets like it's ridiculously uncanny. Here we go.
Sorry, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. This Queen of Swords, I'm telling you, this is fighting, but this is also sex, and this is opportunity, and this is like not getting what I want. This would be like if a mistress was like, oh, I'm going to get the man, and then I don't get the man. But I'm telling you, I am not convinced that this wife wasn't already fighting with this mistress, or if this mistress wasn't already trying to get to the wife. I'm not super convinced that they were separated. I'm not really convinced of that. That doesn't really seem accurate to me. The Moon is lies. So this means that the female is lying out of her teeth.
NK, liar, liar, pants on fire. Shanna is redeemed. She sure is. She sure is, Morgan. She's muted at the moment. She might be going to the loo. I'm busting.
Laughing.
All right, we'll continue on as long as my bladder allows. Unlike other YouTube creators, I don't wear adult diapers and sit here peeing myself while I'm live for 28 hours.
Look at this. It's all female energy. It's literally all female energy. The Emperor is reversed. This is Dad. Okay? This is Dad reversed. It's also Control reversed. The Four of Pentacles is a greedy, selfish card, and the Queen of Cups. What the heck? Does she got blackmail on him? What is this? King of Pentacles reversed, Two of Cups reversed, and the World. This would be about a connection that has been going on for a while that he tried to stop. No. This doesn't read like what I've been told. This reads as like him trying to get out of the mistress situation, not knowing how to get out of the situation, and then a freak out happens.
You could say that again.
Wow.
That's one way to describe what happened. A freak out happens.
Yeah.
Now, this is allegedly for entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
Just like Shanna's theory. So for everyone watching, please don't think we are using this as evidence. It's just really interesting how it coincides with what Shanna's been talking about on this live. How long have we been live? An hour and 42 minutes.
Wow.
All right, let's keep going.
That's what this looks like to me. And this Page of Wands is speaking our truth. So this right here is something that I've pulled for a lot of things. You guys know this card very well. It looks like Taylor Swift. But you guys know this card very well.
Oh my God, it does. That did look like Taylor Swift. I just want to point out too up the top the date. Now, Australia, we do day, month, year, but it's the 19th of September, 2019. If everyone had watched Aphrodite, no one would be talking about this case anymore. I'm kidding. But, I mean, he's onto it pretty early on. Here we go.
One is like, I'm speaking my truth. I'm saying whatever needs to be said. The Seven of Swords is like a failure. It's all connected to this female. This is like, I'm going to say what needs to be said. So if she's not convicted, she's coming out with something, girl. There's some form of information being spread from her. There is definitely some form of information spread. And the Four of Pentacles is next to it, which is like greedy and selfish. So like, baby, why are we cashing out? I'm seeing a cash out moment. And what I don't understand is that this particular person has been like this mistress. So, okay, it's a King of Pentacles. Did he have money? Because the King of Pentacles says he had something that she wanted. I don't know if it was just stability, if it was money, or both, but he had something that she wanted, and that was...
And it wasn't his micro penis.
She wanted that equity. In 2825 Saratoga Trail.
I'm sorry if it's annoying people that I stop and start, but I don't want Aphrodite to strike me. I love him. But anyway, we'll carry on.
was her entire purpose of getting into him. It seems like this, like literally it seems like this energy was going on for a while.
Yeah. Interesting.
This seems like this was going on for a while. It seems like this particular mistress had her eye on him for a long time. Like, I'm sorry, and allegedly for entertainment purpose only, it reads as if the mistress had a plan from the beginning. And it looks like she was trying to wedge her way in there from the beginning.
Isn't that interesting? Because again, I mean, yeah, exactly. And it goes back to that whole thing about, you know, her Googling Shanann back in 2017 and so on. Okay.
It looks like he tried to get rid of her a few times, but he couldn't. Now, I'm not saying he's not to blame. I'm just saying what I can see. Five of Cups reverse and the Eight of Swords. Pressured, feeling trapped, a highly emotional moment. Six of Swords would be like trying to run away but not able to. Seven of Cups, Nine of Wands, and Hangman. Not willing to let go, offering many opportunities to change or to figure out a different way. It seems like there must have been an epic fight where, like, I don't know if it was his wife or whatever, but something wasn't budging and he freaked out.
And
something wasn't budging. Something wasn't budging and he freaked out. That phone code.
It could be the phone code or it could be her. I mean, I still think he's guilty as fuck and completely responsible for murdering his family.
Yeah.
But he is a limp dick and not a very smart man. And even if he was trying to get out of the relationship with NK at any point along the way, I think she wouldn't have even had to do much at all other than put on that brown bikini to get him back in her good favor.
You're right.
Again, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Wouldn't have taken much.
Because he's not innocent. Seven of Wands reverse, so he's not innocent, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. In my opinion! But the Nine of Cups is upright and the Cups is upright. I'm telling you, someone got what they wanted for sure. This is kind of messed up. I like how I'm literally like, we had a discussion on my stream, like, should I do Chris Watts or Stephen Avery? And I decided to do both of them. But I like how this one is juicy and everyone was like, it's going to be boring. Nah, this is juicy.
It is juicy. He is absolutely awesome. Hopefully that's enough commentary.
Someone got what they wanted. This Four of Swords is a rejection. And the Page of Swords is a verse. It's like, I got exactly what I wanted out of it, and I don't care. Well, who is this heartless individual?
That would be NK. Because the thing is, if she was intent on this and, you know, hitting on him at work and investigating the family back in 2017 and all of that sort of stuff, her obsession could have switched too, because even though everything went terribly wrong, he's ended up the one going to jail for the rest of his life, and rightly so, but she's kind of got off scot-free. And the obsession with Shanann, well, she got what she wanted. Shanann's no longer around, possibly. So, I don't know. Now I'm reading way too much into this. This is allegedly for entertainment purposes only, everybody.
The Lover's card reverse, it's the mistress. Four of Wands, the environment switch. This would be the Knight of Cups, which is emotional growth, quote unquote. But the Lover's card is versus Seven of Pentacles. Lazy, complacent, enjoying the Pentacles, aka money in front of us. Ace of Swords, opportunistic. Marriage, Three of Swords, Six of Cups. Marriage, this would be the breaking of the marriage. This would be the heartbreak that we don't want to deal with, aka we don't even have it because we weren't really in love. The Six of Cups would be the past. It's also a wedding card.
Interesting with the wedding card, because he doesn't know a lot about this particular case. I don't think he would have known that she was Googling wedding dresses, but it's interesting that that's popping up a couple of times.
Six of Wands is ego and pride. Empress is reverse. That would be the mom or his wife, and she's reverse. Three of Pentacles, job. So can I ask you a question? So what did his wife do for a living? And is it possible that the mistress knew her through work? Or had some sort of connection there, because this is where the drama starts. This is the money and status that she's looking for, and this is the fight, and this is the tower, which means there had to be some sort of something.
See, I don't think he even knows that they work together, that Chris and work together.
Right, yeah. That's a good point.
To be something involved with what the wife was working at. That's the missing piece. There has to be some, either it's the wife or it's him. I can't figure out who it is. I mean, it's surrounding the wife because she's obviously the one that was murdered, but it's surrounding the job.
And he just said, it's either her or him. Mm-hmm. It's either her or him. So, yeah.
But it's something that was going on for a while. Yep, here's the family card, distrust, and King of Cups. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some potential blackmail, but that's not even what caused this. That was just another thing on the list. By the way, this mistress has done this before. There's no way that this is her first time at the rodeo. Way too trained, way too smart, way too savvy.
Isn't that creepy?
Wow.
I know. How's everyone handling this in chat?
They're doing great. Fran said it's juicy.
It is juicy. Okay, let's keep going.
Like way too savvy. Remember, I pulled the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is a very smart individual, knows exactly what she's doing, is super selfish, makes sure she's cunning, very articulate with her words, and persuasive.
Interesting, huh? They're all words that you could probably use. I don't know if she was articulate with the words, but...
Sky Z said that supposedly NK had a run-in with Shanann while Shanann was working at the hospital, so that was before 2018. That's interesting.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember people talking about the run-in at the hospital.
I don't.
Sort of wonder if this was all like Chris on the one hand wanted out and... dumbass, and he's like, well, I'll just kill them all and then we're done with it. But then on the other hand, you've got this mistress who's pretty much been sort of following Shanann's Facebook and
had a interesting.
She's sort of, it's almost like they've got their own parallel obsessions about Shanann and getting her out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back to it.
Think of it as like a low functioning Gemini. But she knows everything. She knows everything. And I'm worried about the cash out with this. Like the Page of Wands, that's like going on podcasts or going on TV or having a book or whatever that is. It's like I'm speaking my truth.
Did you hear that? The cash out.
Oh my gosh. Cash out?
Doing a book was one of the things he said. Do you want me just to rewind it a tiny bit?
That's crazy.
But she knows everything. She knows everything. And I'm worried about the cash out with this. Like the Page of Wands, that's like going on podcasts or going on TV or having a book or whatever. Like that's what that is. It's like I'm speaking my truth.
Having a book.
Wow.
And we all know what she Googled about Amber Fry's book.
Or cash out could have been the settlement they were hoping for.
I think there was a lot of cashing out in her eyes. Not just the cash out. If the plan had worked, there was the cash out because he would have suddenly had a lot of money. And if it hadn't have worked, she could sell her story and make money off that.
You're right.
Who's Taylor girl?
Taylor Swift.
With this Two of Swords, there's no way she didn't know. I don't buy the song and dance that she's innocent completely. I don't know how much she did, but she knew. I don't buy that she was like completely innocent. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I don't buy that.
Me either.
Hey.
Wow.
What did you say? What did you
say?
say?
Me either. I don't buy that either, Aphrodite.
Yeah. Yeah. He's bringing in a new deck. He's getting rid of...
I literally pulled a Bride in a Cage card. Are you kidding me? Out of all the cards I could have pulled? Give me a break. Today for tomorrow. Are you kidding me? Single white female. Like, what the hell? Bride in a Cage card, literally. Okay, first of all, I don't know if she had delusions of wanting to be the wife or whatever the case may be, but that's, like, creepy as hell.
Oh, yes, she did have delusions.
Yes.
I know. She was Googling wedding dresses.
That's like, I don't know, man. That's really weird to pull the Bride in a Cage card, but that's also his wife being trapped. And then we see this. Today for Tomorrow, which is, wait a minute. I just got the chills. I pulled a wife and I pulled 2 girls.
Wow.
I didn't even make that connection until just now. Anyways, the Today for Tomorrow card is about sacrificing what's in front of me for a better future. This literally reads as like, you're mine. I'm gonna get you. You're mine. I may not have you now, but I'll have you later, and I'm doing what I can to get that. Oh my god, I even pulled Fated to Suffer! This card literally says, like, your relationship is crap anyways. It's gonna fall apart. You'll get divorced anyways, so. Heartless, colorless angel, heartless. Also about fighting for something and not getting it, not and realizing it's not what we want. Parasite, which means she infiltrated early on. Addicted. Someone has some sort of addiction, whether it be, a past addiction, whether it be like an alcohol or a drug addiction, or just like a love addiction or a personal addiction.
Or a taking it up the butt addiction.
Yeah, sex addiction, both of them.
I think there's a lot of addiction happening for sure. Possibly drugs, sex, and, well, I wouldn't call that bloody band rock and roll, but...
Yeah, sacrifice and downcast pride. It's about playing a good game. Oh my god. I mean, like I said, he's not innocent, but there's a lot more to the story that nobody knows, and this man is too prideful to admit this.
Yep.
To me, it reads the prideful man on her. What led up to situations.
And yeah, he's not going to admit that his dick got him in deeper than he ever imagined with an absolute bloody... But I don't give him enough credit for having enough intelligence to even have realised while all of that was going on that he was being manipulated. He was just so pussy-whipped and into the girl and just loving all of that and feeling all, feeling good about himself because he's lost all this weight and he's got this chick and, I don't think he's complex enough to have even sensed anything else that might have been going on with her at all other than just a bit of snatch that he got,
Yeah.
God, he makes my skin crawl. Not Aphrodite, Chris.
Me too.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if he's like a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's easily manipulated either. Because of all the stress that he was under.
Wow.
I still see him as not innocent. 7 of Wands reverse. I don't think he's innocent. Allegedly for entertainment purposes only. But there's a missing piece here. There's a missing piece. There's a huge fight, but it was pressure from...
Interesting that I did the jigsaw puzzle and missing pieces, and they were originally the thumbnails for this live, and he's talking about... And there's all these YouTube channels still going live week after week, day after day because of the missing pieces.
The situation with the mistress, for sure. And the mistress is somehow involved. I don't know if she knew. I don't know if she persuaded. I don't know if she saw it. I'm not quite certain what her involvement is, but oh, yeah. I'm calling bull on her not being involved at all. In fact, I see her as the main catalyst behind the scenes, pulling strings.
Shanna, that's pretty much what you've just been saying on this live.
Wow. I feel better now.
Yeah, exactly. Even if everyone else thinks you're batshit crazy, Aphrodite is validating everything you said, and you're vindicated. You're vindicated. I don't think you're batshit crazy, by the way. So you've got me and Aphrodite supporting your theory.
Thank you.
Now, do I think that she wanted him to commit murder? No. Do I think that she was like looking for him to commit murder? No. Not at all. Not at all. I don't think that was her initial goal. I think that that's just what ended up happening because of all the emotional intensity. I think he snapped. It reads as him snapping. Like, mentally. I'm going to re-roll because I want to see, as I literally destroy everything, I want to see...
Because we're nearly through it all, he does go on to do a little bit about the girls. Do you want to listen to that as well?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Let's go.
I want to see a little bit further into how the daughters are involved, because it seems like the mistress must have had tea on them for like receipts or something, because she was going digging, so she had to have some sort of information on them. And I think that was like, she's infiltrating type of stuff. She had some sort of information. Remember I said that job card? She had some sort of information. 10 of Pentacles, some sort of money. Just some sort of information on that. But I want to see if... I hope she wasn't looking the other way in the beginning. Anyways, I want to see what the daughter's involvement was. Paranoia. It's paranoia. Two of Swords. I can't go back from the decision I just made. I'm overthinking. I'm paranoid.
Oh my God.
Selfish. Trying to run from my problems. Yeah. Judgment. Fear of being judged. Temperance card here. I mean, these are two females, but this also literally represents like... I don't know, patience. And then we see the Ace of Cups, loving bond, the Wheel of Fortune, bad luck. That's like wrong place, wrong time.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. So like with your theory that, she was at the house and then all this shit happened and it wasn't meant to, and then they couldn't get into Shanann's phone, so that all went out the window.
And sweet Bella, like walking in, wrong place, wrong time, like.
Absolutely.
The paranoia of, oh my God, she's going to rat us out,
Interesting, Lee's comment. He said he knew he was going to murder his family, so what the heck were they talking about while his wife was delayed at the airport?
I don't believe anything he says, honestly. Like, I don't know. I still think there was more to it. I think what they were talking about while his wife was delayed at the airport was, okay, this is what we're going to say. And I think Chris is such an idiot that NK was probably like having him repeat it back to her several times to get their story straight because he's such a moron. I don't know. I mean, it's just a theory, but yeah, I mean, who knows? But I do think it's weirdly that NK couldn't tell the cops what they were talking about at all. Not even a single thing about that conversation. 111 minutes.
I thought when we were chatting earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, like the other night when we chatted, I thought that you had a theory.
About that she staged the call and then went over there?
Yeah. So she called his number but left her phone at home, went to his house, and when Jim picked her up, he had her phone with him.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's plausible too, but I don't know. Because then I couldn't understand, like, the 1 minute phone call to Jim the next morning. Like, how would that happen from Frederick? Like, I don't know.
True. Yeah, no, good point. I didn't think about that. I'd forgotten about the 1 minute phone call to come and pick her up. I reckon that's what that call was.
But Aphrodite is about to tell us, I think.
Well, let's see what he says. But, yeah, the fact that there was absolutely no substance when she was questioned about that phone call and couldn't even say, for about 10 minutes we were talking about the best way to roast a chicken or something. Like, there was no content at all. She was unbelievably vague. All right, let's see what Aphrodite says about the girls.
It's interesting that I pulled the Queen of Pentacles and the Temperance card here. Patience. So are we sure that they were all murdered at the same time? Because this reads to me as waiting. And by the way, Queen of Wands, Ace of Pence, and Chariot. So I'm not convinced that they were all murdered at the same time, and I'm also not convinced that the mistress wasn't notified before the girls were. I'm not super...
See, now this is interesting to me because I think the Chris Watts thing about taking the girls out to the tanks, I do actually think that's true. Mm-hmm. The Wisconsin confession.
Oh, yeah. That part I think is true. Like, I think he put them in the car alive, yeah.
Because he's so hell-bent on, he's a people pleaser. He's so hell-bent on people looking, his biggest concern was that his workmates were going to know about all of this when he was being interviewed back back in Colorado. And the fact that he told that story, it completely flies in the face of the sort of person he is. And I just don't think someone who's so determined to always be perceived as this good guy would invent a story like that.
Right.
And not only invent it, but also tell it to people so that it would get out there. Even though he possibly believed it wouldn't get out and all the rest of it, why would you even risk it, you know?
I think that he was going to do anything to protect MK. That's just my opinion. I think that he was so enthralled with her that he...
I agree with that part, but I think in terms of him telling the cops that story in Wisconsin...
Oh, yeah, the details. Yeah.
Even if he didn't think it was going to get out, he thought he was having a good old chat with them. They were old buddies and they're all having a good old giggle and talking about him having macaroni, cheese and milk and all of the rest of it. I think even the thought of those cops hearing something like that about him and hating him for it, I don't think he would have made that up. I think there was a lot of that. I think that story was true, unfortunately. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think – and so it's interesting now with Aphrodite where he's reading about the chariot and the girls not being killed at the same time, I think. But
yeah.
Let's carry on.
Super convinced. Like, this reads like she, like, I don't know if he panic called her. I don't know if she was, it looks like she had some sort of, like, interjection because the chariot is, like, the car. But then I see the King of Pentacles verse, the Two of Cups verse, and the Four of Pentacles. Greedy, selfish, but there's the Queen of Cups and the Emperor verse. That's him. That's her. It's the mistress. Wanting to solve the problem. Cause changed. Went through a couple of opportunities. So... they had this is like a brainstorm of like, what should we do? What should I do? How do I get rid of this? What do I do? But
interesting, Shanna.
I'm dying over here. It's crazy.
I know. Well, there's the 110-minute phone call explained.
Pressured and trapped and have no choice.
Have no choice?
Because I'm not innocent. There it is. And I can't get what I want. And I'm disappointed. Yep. So I have to sacrifice and make it worse.
Oh, see? He can't get what he wanted, which was to just kill Shanann. Shanann's phone's locked, so suddenly they're like, fuck, we can't do the whole texting him, I'm coming at you place. So then they've found themselves in this predicament that, the girls are going to be collateral damage. Yeah. But they weren't originally part of the plan.
Wow, this guy was like in a complete psychotic episode. This reads as like allegedly for it was only like a complete psychotic episode. Like not a single rational thought. No,
he was flipping the fuck out, and rightly so. Fucking wanker.
Interesting. But there's a couple of opportunities.
Not Aphrodite.
Rid of them or figuring it out. I can't particularly...
Aphrodite's not the wanker. Chris is. We'll just go back a bit.
Yeah.
Like not a single rational thought. Interesting. But there's a couple of opportunities of like getting rid of them or figuring it out. I can't particularly figure out why he chose the one he did. But I'm telling you, this mistress is like directly involved right in the middle. And she knows way more.
Wow. Thank you, Aphrodite.
Well, that's what I see for this reading. I mean, kind of heavy. Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys like that. If you like that, make sure you check out my other true crimes. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, Aphrodite. Go to aphrodite.com. And let me know what other readings you want me to do. Put them in the bio.
So follow the guy because he's pretty bloody accurate. Isn't it mind-blowing, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
And very spot on. And yes, you should feel vindicated because it was almost like he was doing a tarot reading of your theory.
Well, I mean, the thing is like, I don't like, I mean, I think everyone that came into your chat had really great points. And that's the thing, like the concept that she's more involved than meets the eye is my point. Like, I just threw something out there that I think is very plausible as a scenario based upon the evidence and what I've kind of taken from kind of the Freudian slips here and there and the timeline and the discovery and all of that. I, again, make it clear that Chris Watts, you and I, Tori, we both believe he is 100% responsible for all of this. 100%. And
I think they had a harebrained scheme. It backfired because they didn't factor in Nicole Atkinson and they didn't factor in
the phone code.
Not being able to get into Shanann's phone, because that would have been crucial for them to send fake text from her saying, I'm on my way out to Anadarko. I'm not accepting this. We've got to talk. Now, whether or not she left the kids at home or took them, or Nicole was going to take them with her, who knows? Who knows what that part of the plan was? But I think the fact that they couldn't get into Shanann's phone threw a massive spanner in the works. And then on top of that, their whole plan, which was harebrained anyway, got thrown out the window, and they had to improvise, or he had to improvise, which led to a chain of horrible events, absolutely horrific events. And in all of that, he completely forgot about Shanann having the doctor's appointment, the kids going back to school, or Bella going, all of that stuff. And, then that was ultimately what led to his undoing, and thank God for Nicole Atkinson as well. But, it's an interesting case. It's not going to go away. People are going to keep talking about it. No one's ever going to get all the answers unless he has some sort of, I don't know, complete personality change overnight and suddenly becomes an honest, decent human being who's prepared to tell the true story. But I don't believe that's going to happen, because I think he's a miserable, pathetic little creep, and he will keep his lips zipped, because he said he would be taking stuff to the grave. And I don't think anyone's ever going to get the answers. But in terms of theories, I think you were onto something, Shanna, for sure.
Thank you, Tori.
Thanks to everyone in chat too. You guys have been amazing. We've had a really good audience and lots of audience participation in chat, which we love. Thank you to the mods. I don't know whether any randoms came in that you had to deal with, but you guys are fabulous. And my channel is always so supportive and loving whatever we do on here. Even talking about the chriswatts case, there's a lot of love for you there, Shanna. But thank you to the mods. And Lee's raised another thing that always bugged me too, the house being pristine but her office was completely trashed.
I still think they were in there scrambling for whatever. Maybe she'd made a note of the new code how to get into her phone that they were looking for. I just think they were scrambling for something. Like there was something in there. That's a great point. Well, I mean, Aphrodite said something about blackmail. I mean, there was this theory about the whole dirty South and there being something happening there that maybe, and this was my friend from, remember I told you my friend from work had a crazy, like even more detailed theory. And hers was that they had found a whole bunch of evidence of wrongdoings during Dirty South, and that she wasn't claiming a bunch of, the stuff on her taxes, just outlandish like things that they were using to try to blackmail her to like get what they wanted out of a separation.
Well, there's also another angle which we didn't even touch on today, and we won't be able to because my bladder won't.
Mine too.
Also, I've got a friend coming for dinner, so I've got to tidy up my house and get on with making some stuff for dinner and all the rest of it. But we haven't even looked at the other angle that's been thrown around on YouTube a bit too, which could tie in with blackmail as well, and that's the corruption of the department and the power that Anadarko had in the community. And that's, there's the political aspect, which I certainly am not that interested to go down that rabbit warren. But some of those sort of cards that were coming up could also lead, could be more about the corruption of the World County Office. I don't know enough about it to even really comment, but there's another angle to this story, which, Anadarko had already only 3 months prior to Shanann and the girls' death had to pay out a very massive settlement figure for a family that were wiped out because of an explosion that they were responsible for. So
because of a leak.
And there's also, it's an oil company, and I mean, anyone on the planet now who doesn't know that oil companies have a lot of sway in all economies would be an idiot. So there's that side of it too. But Kimberly's made meatballs. Did you make Sandy Rzucek's meatballs where she hides the boiled egg?
Oh my gosh, she's great. I love Sandy's stuff.
I love falling asleep to her
is awesome.
cooking. I even listened to her doing the pork, even though I don't cook, I can't eat pork, I'm allergic to it, but I even listened to one of her pork ones the other night.
Oh, she's so good at like all her recipes. I mean, it looks so seamless.
That's a good point too. Lee's got some ripper ones. Maybe we will have to do another one because, if he was going to if I agree, I don't think he was going to kill the kids, but Lee's saying if he was going to murder them, he did say in that statement he knew he was going to kill all of them, then why not?
That. Yeah.
No, neither do I. I think he's a bullshitter, but if you're going to kill kids like his, one of them's got, and is allergic to everything under the sun. He could have just given a teaspoon of peanut butter and it probably would have.
Yep, I never thought. I think that was just a cover up to him fear of going down a line of questioning of, okay, fine, Bella walked in, saw me, saw Shanann, saw NK. And you know what I mean? Like, I just never thought that the kids were ever originally
part of the plan.
Yeah.
It's a horrible case. It's not going to go away. Shanna, I really appreciate you're probably well and truly ready for bed now on a Friday night.
I love you, and y'all are awesome. Everyone in chat's been so great.
Oh, Vicky's seen now we can't just log off to see it because then Vicky's like, everyone at the party would have known the girls couldn't eat the cake. True. So he wouldn't have even been able to take a couple of pieces home with him and give them to the girls later. But, it's the worst case. It's horrible. I think another reason why people are still talking about it is that we have all been so affected by the horror of it and the loss of those precious lives. So we only did this and do this and keep talking about it because of all the stones that are unturned, because I think people do inherently want justice for Shanann and the girls. I just sadly don't think we're ever going to get it.
I hope. I really, truly do hope that something comes up. Like, I know it's kind of a stretch, but I'm really...
Well, I'm just glad at the moment. If the most thing we get out of this is that he's then that is the victory we have to celebrate.
That's true. That's very true, because he's a monster and he's where he needs to be.
Absolutely. But thank you, everyone, so much. We've thoroughly enjoyed this live. It's been so good to have you guys with us. I hope you all have beautiful weekends, whatever you get up to. And I'll be doing some cooking tomorrow. I've got a cooking video that I'm editing. I'll be doing my traces of sleepy faces and just keep an eye on my channel for beach walks and all the usual stuff. Shanna, I love you. Thank you so much. It's always lovely hanging out with you, and hanging out with you and a heap of other people has been an absolute joy and a great way to spend my Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
And everyone in chat, mods, thank you so much. Oh, look, thank you, Tori, and the one and only Shanna.
Y'all have been awesome. You have all been awesome.
Well, it could be a comment about you're the only Shanna in the world because you're the Shanna.
I was like, wow, I feel really special. And now, good old Amy.
No, take the really special. We love you, groovers. Stay groovy until next time. And Shanna, I hope you have a beautiful weekend and chat soon.
I'll chat with you tomorrow.
Love you lots, girl.
You too.
Bye, everybody. See you soon. I always do this dicky little wave at the end. Bye, everybody. Stay groovy, everyone.